Wrong Turn is a 2003 American blood and gore movie coordinated by Rob Schmidt and composed by Alan B. McElroy. The film stars Desmond Harrington, Eliza Dushku, Emmanuel Shrieky, and Jeremy Sisto. The film earned $28.7 million and had a $12.6 million spending plan. Two understudies, Hallie Smith, Yvonne Godry, and Richard Stoker, Joel Harris, are rock-moving in the West Virginia forest. Rich arrives at the top, while Hallie keeps on climbing. After Hallie starts to battle, she sees Rich's bloodied hand at the highest point of the bluff before his body is lost the precipice. Somebody starts to pull Hallie up the bluff by her grappling rope. She cuts it, making her fall. She endeavors to get away to her and Rich's vehicle yet stumbles over some security fencing prior to being pulled once again into the forest by an inconspicuous power. Prior to being killed, Chris Flynn, Desmond Harrington, a clinical understudy, is passing through the mountains of West Virginia en route to a prospective employee meeting. Because of a synthetic spill in the street ahead, he's compelled to take an alternate course. He stops at an old once-over service station and meets an elderly person. The elderly person isn't useful, yet Chris sees a guide itemizing one more conceivable course that goes directly towards his objective to which he expected to go. Chris chooses to take the street and as he's driving he collides with a Range Rover abandoned in the street. The vehicle has a place with a gathering of companions on a climbing trip, Jesse Burlingame, which turned out to be the name of hero in Stephen King's 1992 awfulness novel Gerald's Game, Eliza Dushku, Carly Newman, Emmanuel Shrieky, her life partner Scott Corby, Jeremy Sisto, and a couple, Evan Ross and Francine Childs, Kevin Zegers and Lindy Booth. Jesse observes a piece of security fencing in the space that was attached to a tree across the street after their tires were penetrated. Jesse, Carly, and Scott go to the forest to track down help. Chris goes along with them, while Evan and Francine stay with the vehicles. After Evan and Francine participate in a series of some astounding oral sex, Evan begins to fix some gear, prior to hearing a weird commotion and goes to examine. Inevitably, Francine sees that he is missing, and she goes into the forest to search for him. As Francine adventures further into the forest, she views as his shoe, and his cut-off ear. As Francine staggers back, she understands what is happening in shock. She shouts and is as yet stunned to realize what's going on when a figure folds spiked metal over her mouth, tearing it open and killing her. As Chris, Jesse, Carly and Scott attempt to observe help, they track down a disengaged lodge. They go into the lodge and find random articles and human body parts in both a cooler and furthermore the washroom. They are shocked and attempt to get away, yet they hear the inhabitants returning and are compelled to stow away. Scott and Carly stow away in seemingly a room loaded up with things from consistently. Chris and Jesse are compelled to stow away under one of the nauseating bunks. Three inhuman mountain men, all whom are incredibly deformed, enter the lodge and acquire Francine's dead body. Chris, Jesse, Carly and Scott quietly watch with sickening dread, as her body is mercilessly butchered and messily eaten. As the man-eaters nod off, the companions quietly escape. In any case, Sawtooth, Gary Robbins, rises and cautions different savages and starts to pursue the companions all through the backwoods. The gathering moves up to a close-by clearing with numerous vehicles, which they understand are the vehicles of the savages' casualties. Chris makes a redirection and is shot in the leg. Scott saves him by involving himself as a distraction, permitting Jesse and Carly to take the executioner's truck. Evan is seen as dead, so Chris gets into the truck, and the companions drive down a way close by attempting to track down Scott. Carly sees Scott in the backwoods. As Scott begins to advance towards the truck, he's shot multiple times in the back with bolts and is killed. A bolt nearly hits the companions in the truck, albeit soon Chris' inclinations to drive away and don't stop. The savages get Scott's dead body and remove his dead corpse. Chris, Jesse and Carly hit a stopping point in the street and need to progress forward foot, ameliorating Carly about her misfortune. They observe an old watch pinnacle and start to move up, and track down a radio and use it to call for help, however don't get a reaction. Later they see the barbarians, who are equipped with lights and arriving at the foot of the pinnacle. The radio begins reacting to their call, alarming the barbarians. Carly attempts to make a dire reaction yet is hindered when Three-Finger, Julian Richings, attempts to move into the pinnacle. Three-Finger attempts to overcome the board on the floor of the pinnacle, however is trampled by Chris. The savages then, at that point, set the pinnacle ablaze. Chris, Carly and Jesse escape by leaping out of the window into a close-by tree. They start to scale, yet Three-Finger begins to move up a tree close to them. Chris and Jesse start to move higher as Carly remains on a branch, too reluctant to even consider climbing further. Chris and Jesse come to another tree, yet Three-Finger creeps up behind Carly and slashes her head in half with a hatchet and her body falls through the trees, as Chris and a crying Jesse watch with dismay. They choose to vindicate Carly and stunt Three-Finger to get hit by a branch and drop out of the tree, allowing the last two survivors an opportunity to get away. They escape from the barbarians and stow away in a cabin almost a cascade until the following morning, where Chris solaces Jesse. Similarly, as they track down a street free and clear, the mountain men track down them and push Chris down the slope and catch Jesse and return her to their lodge. Chris endures the fall and meets a cop. However, before he can persuade the official of what's going on, the cop is before long killed when a bolt shot from the forest hits him in the eye. Chris endeavors to drive away in the vehicle, yet doesn't have the keys, so all things considered hitches a ride under the vehicle as the savage drives it back to the lodge. At the point when the barbarians show up at the lodge, Jesse is attached to a bed and choked with a belt, asking for help. Outside, the barbarian in the squad car shows up, with Chris still under and nearby. After the barbarian goes inside with the official's body, Chris gets down from the lower part of the truck. Back inside, as Jesse is going to be killed, the front of the lodge is burst into flames and blazes begin flying. Soon the front region and the front entryway is crushed through by Chris, who is currently driving the official's vehicle. He crashes straight into the lodge and crushes into one eye, and the man-eater is stuck under the police vehicle. Whenever Chris unfastens Jesse, he is assaulted by Sawtooth. Jesse shoots Sawtooth toward the rear of the neck with his own bow and bolt. Jesse and Chris additionally battle Three-Finger, and polish him off by hitting him with a hatchet straight into his body. Chris and Jesse notice that the savages are as yet blending and are alive, and Jesse and Chris rapidly head outside. Chris has just a single shotgun shell left, which he takes shots at the squad car's gas container, exploding the lodge with the savages still inside. Chris and Jesse, driving the man-eater's own truck, stop back at the corner store. Chris, gravely harmed, escapes the truck and takes the guy to the street, which prompts the man-eater's lodge, so nobody will at any point go into the forest once more. Chris gets once again into the truck, as Jesse drives not too far off, and the credits roll. The credits are hindered by a scene showing a delegate sheriff examining and picking over the remaining parts of the annihilated lodge. Three-Finger, who endured the blast, comes up behind the delegate official. The agent goes to see a shadowy figure holding a hatchet, and afterward Three-Finger's face is apparent as he gestures and hollers. The scene blurs to dark and his crazy giggling is heard, as the credits keep on rolling. And guys, how did you like the explanation of the Wrong Turn movie? We will definitely write in the comment section and share, subscribe and like for such amazing videos, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Folded hands, blue heart.